Alright, today on the Bird Bros, we're going to go through my top 5-ish favorite mythological birds. These are like birds from folklore, myths. Some of them are from the Bible, Greek, Egyptian, all sorts of stuff like that. So, I hope you're ready, because we're going to get into it right now. Number 5, the roc. The roc is an enormous, legendary bird of prey, and it appears all over Middle Eastern mythology. Usually described as white or tawny, its wingspan is estimated at about 48 feet, and its feathers apparently are as big as palm leaves. The roc is well documented in Arab natural history and was popularized by fairy tales and stories from sailors. One popular story is that when you're far out in the Chinese Sea, sometimes you'll see a mountain, but like this mountain actually isn't a mountain, it's the roc. So that's just like one idea of how big it really is. Sailors lost at sea will wrap themselves up in the carcass of a cow, just for the pure chance that a roc might come by, snatch them up, and fly them to safety. Other stories include the roc being so large that it can grab a full-grown elephant in its talons and just fly away with it. So the stories about the roc can go on and on and on and on, but I got one more for you because I thought this one was pretty interesting. Apparently Marco Polo even knew what the roc was cooking, and he had this theory that it lived in Madagascar, it had flown there, so he sent out messengers to go collect like any proof they could of the roc actually existing. And when the messengers came back, they brought him back this massive feather, and that thus proved that the roc existed, and apparently also proved that it was a different species than the griffin. Now, we know that those don't exist, probably, but I wonder what the feather actually was from, which bird, because apparently it was big enough to prove the existence of a roc to people back then. If you got any ideas, leave a comment below, because I'd love to know which feather you think would actually like big enough to make people think a roc existed. Number 4, the cockatrice. The cockatrice is like one of my favorite all-time mythological bird creatures. It's got the body of a snake with 2 legs, some wings, and the head of a rooster. They stand about 2 feet tall and weigh about 25 pounds. And the males and females are distinguished by like the wattle and the comb that a rooster would have. Yeah, that's how you tell the male from the female. Similar to chickens, cockatrices eat seeds and bugs. But don't let that fool you, because these things are truly dangerous. The cockatrice is known to be venomous, breathe fire, and it can even turn you to stone by looking at you, or just touching you, or apparently breathing on you. And they're known to furiously defend their territory, and they go for the face. Apparently that's like their go-to move. They just go straight for the face, and then they can turn you to stone, burn you, or poison you. One of those things. In English folklore, a cockatrice is created when a toad or a snake incubates the egg of a chicken. But in Egyptian mythology, the cockatrice is created by an ibis, and when the ibis lays the egg, then it gets bitten by a venomous snake, and that turns the resulting chick into a cockatrice. Now, a couple ways you can prevent yourself from getting messed up by a cockatrice is to keep a lot of mirrors around your house. Now, apparently they don't like mirrors. I'm not sure if they look into them, if they themselves turn to stone. Apparently they don't like ferrets either. Ferrets are immune to the venom of a cockatrice, and apparently can take one down. And apparently cockatrices don't like chickens very much, and will either avoid them or fight them on sight. So like, I don't know if it's a good thing to have chickens around or not, but they don't like chickens. So, now you know. Number 3, Horus. This one comes from Egyptian mythology. Horus, the god. Horus was depicted as having like a man body with like a falcon head, and he would often wear this like white crown. He was the son of Osiris and Isis, and he had like this ongoing feud with this dude named Set. But we'll get into that later. One of Horus's main duties was to make sure that the sun and the moon were all like in check. But he also was like the protector of the royal family and would like come down and help out if like stuff was going down. In the beginning, Horus was kind of like a lower level god, and as the Egyptians started crossing out some of their main gods and changing up the stories a bit, Horus actually stayed around and elevated his status to like one of the main gods. With this new popularity, cults devoted to Horus even started popping up around the Nile Delta area. If you're into Egyptian mythology, you may have seen this symbol around. This is the Eye of Horus, and it represents prosperity and protection. And there's a bunch of stories that go along with it. One story is the one from the Egyptian Gods movie, where Set rips out Horus's eye, and then like Horus kind of loses all his power. And it's said that like when his eye was ripped out, because it was his left eye and it's connected to the moon, it was like the moon was just being like ripped out of the sky. And then Set, he just walks around with this like eye, and it's giving him like special power and protection. Basically, Horus has to get it back, shove it in his head to become whole again, and fight Set on like fair terms. It's a pretty cool story, and yeah, check out the Egyptian God movie if you haven't seen it already. It's okay, but the story is like gnarly. It's really cool. Number 2, the Phoenix. I had to put this one in here somewhere. It's the Phoenix. The Phoenix is a bird that's basically constantly on fire, and that ranges in size depending on who you ask, but normally is depicted at about the size of a bald eagle, or maybe a red-tailed hawk. If you're asking the ancient Greeks, they believed that the Phoenix is a bird that can just constantly regenerate itself. When it gets old and it's ready to die, it'll just spontaneously combust, turn into an egg, where then it'll rehatch itself as a younger version, and just the cycle will continue constantly. The Egyptians, on the other hand, didn't believe that the phoenix could regenerate itself, but instead, a younger phoenix would take the older dying one and fly it up to the sun and offer it to the god Re. Regardless of what people believe, the phoenix was always regarded as a symbol of immortality, and it's definitely lasted through the ages. Renditions of the Phoenix can be seen in like Pokemon with the Pokemon Moltres, or there's Jean Grey who turns into a Phoenix in X-Men. That's pretty cool. She's a pretty cool Phoenix, to say the least. But one of my favorite things comes from a Harry Potter fan fiction, in which Dumbledore creates a Horcrux, which is like a piece of his soul, and he puts it inside his pet Phoenix, therefore kind of making him immortal. And his soul will always exist inside that phoenix, because, once again, phoenixes are a symbol of immortality. Pretty cool bird. Number 1, the barefooted hoodwink. The barefooted hoodwink is a relatively new mythological bird, and to be honest, I almost saw one once. The barefooted hoodwink is described as blurry and always seen flying away from you at the last second. They're almost seen and almost captured all the time. And some scientists joke that this bird, the barefooted hoodwink, could make up for all the species that we just couldn't properly identify. The best way to see a barefooted hoodwink is to either take your binoculars and like smear Vaseline all over the lenses before you go birding, or to take out your camera and use up all the film and all the space on your card, and then when you have no more room left for pictures, then you'll probably see one. They are truly elusive birds. The word on the street is that amateur birders are the most likely ones to see this bird. Wait, I said I almost saw it. On April 1st, 1975, the world finally got to see its first barefooted hoodwink. It was put on display at the Royal Scottish Museum in Edinburgh. Along with an actual taxidermied version of the bird was a number of blurry photos of the bird flying away. Unfortunately, it was pretty obvious that this taxidermied bird was actually just a depiction, and it consisted of the head of a crow, the body of a shorebird, and the legs of unknown origin, probably some type of waterfowl. Some people think that the scientific journal written on the barefooted hoodwink is just a joke amongst ornithologists to kind of poke fun at your average birders. But you know what? I almost saw one. I swear it. It exists. There's too many photos to prove otherwise. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of mythological birds. Birds have impacted people and their stories from basically the dawn of time. So, if you can think of any types of mythological birds that you might know of that I didn't mention, just leave a comment down below. I got a whole list myself, and I plan on making another episode like this because I really enjoyed it. So, until next time folks, stay fly. Oh, my legs hurt. If you wanted to watch another one of our videos on bird mythology, check out our video on the Barnacle goose. It's like a super deep dive, and it involves the Pope, and it's super interesting. So yeah, check that out. I'll leave a link in the description below. And to all our new viewers, hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. We'd appreciate it. Thank you very much. Stay fly.